Way back in 1979, shippers and fishermen and navies navigated the seas using paper maps. Those were the days when a single computer could fill an entire room. Sam Masry was a professor in the engineering department at the University of New Brunswick at the time. His work on a prototype for digital mapping software eventually led to a startup of a company nurtured through the university. That software product was called CARIS, or Computer Aided Resource Information System. CARIS is now the company name. Based in Fredericton, its employees supply marine and coastal mapping software programs for private and public companies throughout the world. Janice MacPherson is our guide to what's made in New Brunswick and joins us now. Hello there.
Hi.
So 30 years ago, what was the significance of Sam Masry's prototype?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, if you think about 1979, we're talking way before software was a normal word. Mm-hmm. So with the paper products that they were working on, mapping by pencil and sketching things out, this prototype that he developed for digital mapping software is what we now call GIS software. So it's taken on digital mapping is basically what they do, but it's gotten a lot more complex over the years. So he basically was one of the pioneers in developing the digital capabilities for mapping services.
So explain exactly what it did that no one else was doing at the time.
Well, I guess because it was mostly done on paper, people were not using computers for that kind of work back then. And as he evolved, the company evolved actually with the onset of database companies like Oracle. So they utilize the back end of the Oracle systems to develop the processes that take all the raw data points and pull those data points, compress them, and make them into something that's user-friendly for the layman. So you see that they take a raw data point and somehow you'll be able to see it on a visual map that's color-coded for you.
Don't people like that impress you?
Totally. I was blown away by what they could show me with regard to, you get all these points coming off of ships using sonar technology, and ships just go back and forth. Let's say in now they're doing a lot of marine, going back and forth, and just all these bazillion little dots are being tracked, and they take it. And they're able to tell, let's say, a port authority where they can have certain size ships go into their ports and where they can't, and be able to maneuver that way.
And how did the business develop?
Well, it started with land. The digital mapping software, I believe, was kind of in partnership with the government of PEI at the time. Mm-hmm. And that project developed into the government of PEI wanting to use the software that ended up being developed through that research project. And from that, he got a contract with the government of PEI. That followed with the government of New Brunswick. So if you go onto our land survey map at New Brunswick government site, some of their software is used within that piece of software. And they did mostly land mapping for years. It wasn't until the early 90s when they actually they saw a real market for the marine navigational systems.
So who are his clients now?
They range really a lot of ports. They deal with, I'm going to say who it is, Port of Hamburg in Germany is a client, Port of Montreal, United Kingdom Hydrographic Office, NOAA in the U.S., and government organizations. There's private enterprise that hire them or basically buy their software.
Right.
So the company itself doesn't do the sonar work. Survey companies are hired to pull all the raw data. And they don't manufacture anything. They sell software off the shelf is their main product. So they develop this high-end software that the hydrographers and the geographers will use to analyze all this stuff. So they sell that software to these major clients, the governments and ports and such.
So how big is CARIS today as a company?
I was impressed, really impressed to go see their office. Back in 1983, there were about 5 people. And they grew to about 70, 80 in the late 80s as they did all the land development. Right. And today, they're at about 170 people worldwide. Wow. And 60 people specifically just work on the constant evolution of this mapping software. So there's a heavy technology base that's actually based out of Fredericton, even though there's 170 people. I think there's only about 30 that work elsewhere, and everyone else is here in Fredericton.
Wow. And their next big challenge? Space, by chance?
Space, data. Somehow to manage the data. With the world of Google Earth, you can imagine we as end users want the ease of access and be able to see a map and get all the data right now. And one survey can provide terabytes and terabytes of data, and they have to store that somewhere and somehow make that data easily accessible to make it visually appealing really quickly for people. So that's their biggest challenge now, is how to make that data available more efficiently.
And presumably somebody there, or more than one, has the mind to be able to figure it out.
I think they're working on it. And I have good faith that they'll do okay.
Thanks a lot, Janice.
You're welcome.
Janice MacPherson is our guide to what's made in New Brunswick. She's the program manager for the Wallace McCain Institute for Business Leadership at UNB.